Good night. So this will be a sixth chapter in the Ancient Alien series, even though we are not going to discuss archaeology per se. It might not, directly belong to this series. Maybe it will be, I'll put it like under another series, but it came to my mind that I should think about it like following, the short discussion of the term bacteria that was, mentioned in the previous chapter 5 of the Ancient Alien series. And also because of all sorts of comments. I hold this, we'll use the English language, speak English, because unlike the other parts of this series that are recorded, I just spoke Hebrew, because it's not, first of all, as I said, it's not like directly related to the series. In very inherent way, and it's more of a general topic, and I sense that it's super important, and because of that, for me, it's like when things are very important, it's better to mostly use English and not Hebrew. Even though many Titans, and other kind of people that are involved, they speak Hebrew, but of course many more speak English. So we'll do it using the English language. It will be a kind of overview of what I know about the trend bacteria. And how is it related to the ancient aliens issue? Because recently, I've received all sorts of comments that show that there is like a huge knowledge gaps with regards to trend bacteria, and it was always like that. But sometimes I encounter things that are so ridiculous that like people suggest that I am that I brought the trend bacteria to the earth. I encountered that several times in the last couple of weeks, and I don't even know what to say about it. It's so ridiculous. Such things. I'm not angry about it because it's like it's like a child. It's like a child. An adult with I don't know. There was things that are just they're part of the world. So it's not like I'm not angry about it, but yes, it prompted me to record like a video which will be kind of an overview, because these kind of claims, they stem from a position of complete ignorance and unbelievable ignorance, and this should be remedied. Now I should say that the fact that there is so much ignorance about this thing is amusing to me. Like I still cannot comprehend it, because it's so important and so many people are infected with that thing. And it's such a cruel disease that you would have expected there would be so much more information about it, but no, it's actually not the case. It's actually not the case, and it's amazing, and it's like for me it's kind of like another kind of like indictment against humanity, like against all of humankind and the earth. They speak about information, progressive values, information, information age, and all these things, but at the same time, with such a thing that is threat, not just their lives and their livelihood and their quality of life, but the entire earth is threatened, and they don't even care to learn about it. And I don't understand why. Like I studied quite a bit about it. I live in the trash, like really in the trash. So I know. I thank God, Siyata Dishmaya, for helping me. But still, you could have done it, but you didn't. And it's such a horrible thing. So I don't know how it came to be that such a cool disease that threatens the entire earth is almost nobody knows. People don't know about it. And no, there might be all of like secret research centers that they have tremendous information about it. But if it's not proliferated, and it's not, then it doesn't do much good, because these things should be proliferated. People should know about it. Now, how is it indeed related to the ancient aliens topic? It is related because this is an ancient phenomenon, probably many millions of years, with almost certainty you can find fossils of this stuff in Earth. and like a good and a great spot to start your search for fossils of such things is, I mean, is the proximity of the Ashkelon Gate. Just, I mean, start with the rock, the big rock, the square, rectangle rock. That is like, it's like the same both in Venus and, in the Ashkelon. Start, just get sample from that rock. Or from the rock that you see, like there is a rock that is shaped like a little bit like submarine. It is like 10 meters, 20 meters. It's underwater, but I mean, very close to the shore. And this feature is, I mean, exists in both Venus and Ashkelon. So this one as well can be, just take a sample. That will be my first bet for, like, where can you find fossils of this stuff. Now, it's an ancient phenomenon that without a doubt affected tremendously the culture of Venus. That's why, I mean, it's almost inevitable that archaeological findings in Venus of any Venusian culture will show you this kind of a conflict of the humanity. I mean, their humanity, like the Titans struggle with the trend bacteria, and we have already seen it. I mean, it's not just a conjecture; I've already seen it. That's the Ashtorel is exactly that. And with all, I mean, it's inevitable that, I mean, you'll get, you'll just, with further information, we'll get more and more, examples of the depiction of the material. They don't have writing, but the material evidence for this kind of ancient battle that is still raging in Venus. So I'll speak about trend bacteria. I should say that I started, I mean, people, they never spoke to me about it. Because, I mean, I'm always in the darkness. Nobody ever told me, because of the special situation that I'm like, I'm just, I was left here, when I was 11 and, between 11 and a half years old, just to start school with what they call the dogs that are kind of, pets from other places, mostly Italy in my case, probably. And, and they have all sorts of, orientation day, Bronze Age orientation day, or when they learn about all, the relevant stuff, and I guess that that's what they learn about trend bacteria. To my estimation, it's in kind of like, like training that is like, that is like a prerequisite to start high school in Israel. Probably in places, I mean, like the Kfar Hayarok, maybe it's in just the Kfar Hayarok. I don't know, maybe they still do it in the Kfar Hayarok. In the past, they've done it in the Kfar Hayarok for a long time. And, it's like the whites, like, the Chilonim, Haredim, the team, so because there are quite a bit of those as well, they've done it, Kerem Maharal, which is like, it's like a parallel place, but geared towards, like the blacks, like, like the Haredim Eminem. As I said, I throughout, the history of Israel, my family had representatives in both places. Like both Kfar Hayarok and Kerem Maharal. Anyway, my estimation is that that's where you learn about the trend bacteria, but I was never in such a training, so I know nothing about it. But I conduct studies using microscope, and I have all sorts of like ways to do things that, to my estimation, are uncommon in this earth, because I studied the Neo language. Now, if you don't know nothing about it, it's not the time to kind of like start the discussion. There are so many videos in this channel that discuss the Neo language. When I say, you should know that when I say language, I do not mean like phonetic language, or not even logographic or hieroglyphic language, but this is kind of like it's a language in the general sense that is mostly, it's like it's manifested in sculptures, painting sculptures, but also apparatus. Like, it's not necessarily something that that is available to Venusian people, not at all, because some of it actually contains like electricity. Actually, it's part of the language, not just as a way to energize the neurons, but as a way, like, part of the language is like electrical current. Electrical current is part of the language. And as I said in the past, you can also find, like, this language, you can find like many manifestations of this language in the grand scale, like in the solar scale, like in the way that, I mean, you know, in also in things that are in the astronomical scale. And that's allowed me to do all sorts of stuff that other people, I mean, they don't try, to my estimation. Anyway, I'm not going to compare myself to other people too much because I have no information. But I do know that people just don't get the information. So even if like this has been researched in all sorts of places, it's not, I mean, it's not proliferated. So people, I mean, they have such a huge ignorance. Such a huge ignorance. Now, it should be said that I did not understand the importance of this strain bacteria until maybe a year ago, something like that. And only then I started to kind of like, you know, to study this thing, and especially to like in this apartment, like, you know, during the last, August, September, October 2024, when I still conducted study, when I still conducted research here before all this kind of like the Teitanomachi started, or the war, this kind of war started. So yes, it was like a major kind of concern in, like, you know, in the last, I would say, successful, duration of research of my own, like, you know, like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. And of course, all of that is documented very well in this channel. Initially, my initial understanding with regard to the bacteria, I mean, was just, I mean, I was very wrong about it. Like, I mean, I didn't understand like what I actually see. It should be said that as early as April or May 2023, I actually created the bacteria in containers, and I also managed to mutate it to huge sizes, like to sizes you can see by the naked eye. Like we have had, like, you know, like, you know, in the sausage party videos, like from May or I think 2023, you can see like a bacteria that is like 3/4 of a centimeter. It's like something that is visible by the naked eye, which is amazing. And since then, we've actually managed to grow it even more, like 5-6 centimeters. Of course, not in the body of nobody, but in container. Or how can you do it? Why, all of that? I mean, it's like out of the it's not in the, you know, in this. I would say it's out of the boundaries of this video. I mean, it's tended to be introductory video. Now I understood just from the start, like, you know, I understood that what I see here is alien. That this is like an alien biocop. Even though the morphology is actually something that you know from Earth. Like it's the sausage morphology, like, you know, like a sausage, like, you know, that are like with a string that connects the sausages. This is something that you know from Earth. Like, for example, leprosy is like that, and rabies it's like that. So I mean, you know, there are kind of like, you know, microbes that look like that. But it was obvious to me that I do not see leprosy, or that it's not one of these things, because they don't yet to be that big. It's like, I understood this is like a monster. Also, but at the time I've seen all sorts of monsters. I created all sorts of monsters, and never mind how. You can do it ex nihilo, like from the void. You don't need, I mean, you know, to create life from living material with the neros. This might sound outlandish to anybody that is new to the research in this channel, but this is like, this is covered, like, you know, since the first couple of months of the study. I mean, it was a major thing that to prove that it's possible and do it in the most rigorous way. That yes, the neros can definitely do, and, you know, they can definitely create life out of the void, out of the, not the void, out of the nil, out of the non-living material. Like the rule of vivo, which, I mean, is so, it's like, you know, it's a credo, you know, in the last 300 years or 350 years, since, you know, Van Leeuwenhoek. I mean, it doesn't hold. And it should be said that, I mean, throughout history, people did not believe that, you know, יש את הקטע של ליצור משהו, חיים שנוצרים מהייפוש. זה איך שלמשל כל הכלבים בכלא, ככה 90% מהכלבים ככה יוצרים אותם בכלא מהרעל, מהייפוש. זה לא מיצורים חיים אחרים, זה מהייפוש. ככה כל הכלבים החרדים ככה הם נוצרים. So I mean, it is known, and then that's why you can kill it, like, you know, on Saturday. Like, I mean, Like you can kill like a Haredi, like a pet dog. You can kill it, like according to Talmud, you can kill it like on the Sabbath because it's created from the trash. Like and you can actually, so you're allowed to kill it like on Shabbat. Unlike other things that are, I mean, you're not allowed to kill, like, unless it's threatening your life. I mean, you're not allowed to kill any other life form, like, on Shabbat, like, but that unless it's created from the trash. So the concept is known from, like, from history, but in the last 300 years, it's left upon, like, it's something, something that is like ancient and presumably totally wrong, but it's not wrong. Life can be created from the non-living material, and this is done. Now, another question you can ask, I mean, but do you require like an organic material? So I would say that the term organic doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much, and we'll get to it in a moment. But the term material is not organic in the way that, I mean, other stuff that like Streptococcus or a camel or giraffe or blue whale are organic. It's not organic in that way. It's not organic in that way anyway. So the question is nil. I mean, what is organic? Like the rules of, like, of organic chemistry do not apply for the term here, but also to many other life forms that we've seen in this channel already. Many life forms. What you call organic chemistry it belongs to the kingdom of life of the earth. But there are many other kingdoms of life, including, and some of which have representatives that can invade the earth. And it already happened. So even in Earth, I mean, you can already speak about different kingdoms of life in Earth. Now, does it mean that, I mean, do I imply that there was always a continuous representation of the term bacteria in Earth throughout the last millions of years? I just don't know. But maybe we'll get here to it in a second. Maybe the short answer is that I don't know. I'm certain that, I mean, you can find fossils of this stuff for millions of years ago. I'm certain about it, but I don't know if we can speak about continuous present, existence in Earth. I just don't know. A critical thing that you should know about the term bacteria is that it does not require a host in order to be alive, unlike many other parasites. Now, with regards to classification of what is this thing, I say, to me it's pretty obvious that this is a microbe. Okay? It's a microbe. It looks like a microbe, and it acts in many ways like a microbe, so it's a microbe. It's a microbial life form. And by morphology, it's actually similar to many microbes that you can find in Earth. But this is like where similarity ends. Just how what's the shape of this thing. Now, why is it why is it not like totally obvious? Because it also I mean demonstrates it demonstrates very well the characteristics of a parasite. And parasites and microbes are not exactly the same. This is like it in many ways it shows very kind of boldly the nature of the parasite, and also the nature of the worm. In some ways it resembles parasitic worm, but it's not a worm. There are actually, by the way, there are actually alien worms that invaded the Earth as well. This is another topic also discussed in this channel. And we've actually shown, with tremendous, rigorous, replicability in a rigorous way that, I mean, how to create it actually, using electrolysis, like alien worms that are completely different from, like, any Earth worm that of course, using the Neos. This was also featured in this channel. There are many videos, you can see these things, but the bacteria is not a worm. it's a bacteria, like a microbe, a bacteria, but it demonstrates sometimes, like in lots of ways, it demonstrates the parasitic worm, like behavior and characteristics. Now, one of the most problematic or dangerous things about it is that it can survive in clay or in soil or in the ground, which chemically it's all the same. Like it's like different words. It's basically clay, ground, soil. It's like it refers to things that are very very similar, like the soil, the ground, the clay, and the trend bacteria can survive in all of that. Of course, if it's too, it requires, not under any condition, all conditions, but yes, it can survive, and this was actually demonstrated in this channel. By the way, this is not true to the Neros, actually. To what you call the robots, it's not true to the Neros. The Neros do not survive in clay, unless it's soaked with oil. But in just clay or ground or soil, they do not survive. But the trend bacteria do survive in these things. This makes the trend bacteria incredibly dangerous in the ecological sense, because it can infect lands, and it certainly happened in Venus. I don't know if in the planetary scale, but certainly it happened in Venus. It certainly happened in, what the place they call Yad Ubim Ashkenazi, like the place where, the people, the place the Ashkelon gate, the Ashkelon Gaza gate leads to. Like that was the main hub for Titan operations since the beginning of the 20th century. Yeah. So it happened there, certainly. Can this happen in Earth? Definitely it can happen in Earth. Definitely. So this is a planetary, this is a huge risk for the Earth, for the entire planet. It can definitely happen in Earth. Did it happen in the past? I don't know. But fossil records might help you, get some clues to this question that I don't have. I don't have any clues to this question. I don't know if it happened in the past. Now, the thing that limits the trend bacteria, or that limits the proliferation and distribution of trend bacteria, is the fact that it's not fecund, it's not like, fecund, like is a nice word, it's not like readily, it does not readily multiply and grow like other bacteria that you know of. Not at all. The way that it is, like, the way, first of all, they don't have like males and females. It's like one sex, but it lays eggs. And that's how it kind of like distributes itself. It lays eggs, which is something that, characterized, to my knowledge, more like parasitic creatures, like worms, or not even, or even more complicated creatures, but not microbes. That's why, the classification is problematic, because, the thing that lays eggs, is not exactly like a bacteria. But, so, it's an alien. It's an alien. And it's not, it does not, readily, it does not lay the eggs, under all circumstances, okay? Now, I was wrong about it. Like, initially I thought that this is just another bacteria, and it's not like, that does not relate, like, in very kind of like, in inherently, that it's not inherently related to the phenomenon of the Neros. Like, I did understand very early, like, following the months, after like May or June 2023, I did understand that in Earth, these phenomenon, there are many times they are conceptualized together, as if, it's almost the same things, and it's always come together, and they are linked together, like that. And some people think that, the Neros, they are like a phase in life of trend bacteria. That, the Neros, like the robots, they become trend bacteria. Some people think it to this day. This is wrong. It's totally wrong. It's totally, it's just untrue. But I was wrong in my initial estimation that, I mean, these are just, I mean, so what I thought is that these things, I mean, they arrive from Venus. And mostly the Titan females that arrive from Venus, I mean, they're infected with that. Or people that went there for if they're not Titans, they went to Venus, they came back with this both stuff, like both T, that's why they went there to get the T, and also they get the bacteria. So I thought these things, I mean, they come together, and I mean, and the way that, I mean, the T is like, you know, distributed many times is you know, P, or, you know, C, like, you know, the consumption of P of other people, or semen, or consumption or bodily fluids of other people, and that's the way you can get both the T but also the bacteria. So, and which is true, of course, this is true. So I thought, okay, so people, I mean, they mix between the two, like, I mean, they confuse between the two, but these are two completely different phenomena. That's what I thought. I thought, okay, the bacteria is a life form. Maybe it belongs to another kingdom of life, but it's life form. And the Neros, they are not life form. By the way, they do not describe themselves. You can communicate with the Neros, the T. What you call the T, they are sentient life forms. And they don't think of themselves as life forms. Like, they have like a concept of life. They are experts in life, but they don't categorize themselves under, you know, the category of life. They are primordial robots, ancient robots, and they see themselves as like professors of life. But I know, but it's like, you know, it's like an insult to them to suggest that they are life forms. It's like telling, like, you know, a professor that is, okay, you know, biology professor that is an expert on ants, that he is an ant, but he's not an ant. He's just study, like, you know, it's subject matter. So I thought, okay, this is like completely different phenomenon that people mix together because, I mean, the Titans, I know, the bodily fluids of Titans, or not Titans, I know, people of the intelligence community, I mean, you know, when, you know, consume the semen, or, you know, the pee or whatever of like another person, then, I mean, you know, you get both. So that's why I saw people, I mean, are confused about it. But I was wrong. I was wrong. I can be wrong as well. Because it turned out, I mean, with, you know, more, you know, evidence and more, you know, experience and all sorts of things that, I mean, I learned in last year, or year, like, you know, last 14 months, I understood that no, this is a special case. It's a special life form, and yes, it's inherently related to the Neros. So in that sense, the common belief about the bacteria that, I mean, is, you know, that is held by many people in the intelligence communities of this world since the beginning of the 20th century, in that way, it's correct. I mean, they had good reason. I mean, probably they had good reasons to believe it. Like that this is true. That, I mean, that I didn't have information, but it's true. But, I mean, not in a way that, I mean, this is like another phase in the life of the, like, the T, the T bacteria. This thought, I know that, I mean, no, it hurts many Titans. Like, they think, they understand that the T is part of their body, so they think, what? I mean, is it like, does it make sense that, I mean, integral part of our body is like, you know, it's like something that, you know, it's like eggs that, you know, this disgusting thing, I mean, hatches from it? It's kind of like, you know, annoying to think about it, but it's not, it's not true. It's not a way to conceptualize, you know, the relationship between the tree and the trend bacteria. But it is true that these phenomena are inherently related. There's something special about the bacteria. This is correct, and I didn't know it. I didn't have the information. But with time, I understood more and more about it. That it's not just another life form. It's a life form there is something special about this life form that is linked to the T, to what I call the Neros, in kind of like a way that it's more important than other, like, you know, life forms. It should be said that the Neos can create many life forms, and we've done it. We've created the full metal jacket, which is like a wasp, but is so you cannot cut with a Japanese knife. It is like, you know, alien wasp. We've done it. Like, you know, we had several specimens. We've seen it in this channel, and also worms and many other microbes. They can create all sorts of stuff ex nihilo, or like, you know, from the nihil. Things, I mean, they can create things, you know, that do not at all exist in Earth, and we've seen it, and this was documented very well in this channel. But there is something special about the trend bacteria. There is something special about it. Now, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do in this video, even though it's important, but it's just, I mean, it's out of the scope of this video, and I admit I lack information on this matter, like, I mean, rigorous information. I just lack information, okay? So what I'm not going to do is to give you like a comprehensive theory that, to my estimation, nobody else has such a theory in his possession. I'm not going to give you like a comprehensive theory of the circumstances under which the neurons create the bacteria in the body of a host. Famously, this is related to divine sexual behavior. Now, what is divine sexual behavior? It's a big question. And people understand very well that there is kind of a morality involved. And they are correct about it. There is kind of a morality involved, but I don't have enough information to currently describe this morality in a sufficient way. Because this is like, I mean, it belongs to all sorts of and people understand, I mean, people know that, I mean, if you steal, like, intellectual property of another person, like if you, like, if you steal like a work of art of, intellectual property of another person, like, and you present it, with a kind of like an audience, using the neurons, using, the riding mechanism or the box, what I call the bicycle mechanism, in a way that is similar to what, I mean, we now have, like, when you watch this thing, probably. So people know that, I mean, this creates a bacteria in the body of the imposter. And so it means that, I mean, they do understand, like, people in the intelligence community of the world understand that there is some kind of morality involved. And the morality that is not, like, limited to sexual behavior, but there is something grander than that. Now, can this be generalized? I don't know. I cannot generalize this phenomenon, and I cannot, even, and start to kind of like, to point to the specific point, I mean, when you can see the phenomenon. What is certain and known since, more than 100 years ago is that if humans, Homo sapiens and Titans, they have sex, it creates a bacteria. And this is a major reason for the creation of the Game of Thrones institution, what they call the Game of Thrones institution, which means that you take females from Venus and they marry pedophiles from Earth. And they don't have sex because the pedophiles are not attracted to the woman, and the women, I mean, they are not allowed to have sex with Homo sapiens anyway, and you still get the Titan males from Venus because you need them in order to produce the tea. But, I mean, they are not allowed to get married to the Titan females, and they are not allowed to have sex with them. And generally, I mean, the government of the earth just, press their boots on their face, and, I mean, תמונה שווה 1,000 מילים. כן, זה מאוד מייצג. This is like a very good representation of, like, how Titan males are treated in Earth, and it's like more than 100 years ago, like this, it's like that. And of course, I mean, the reasons are very clear. Because you want the females to yourself, and to be married to all the pedophile, scum. So it is known that, I mean, that a major kind of like occurrence of, like a major, I would say, event in which a term here is created is when Titans and, Titans, mostly the females, because that's what you get, and Homo sapiens males, they have sex, this creates bacteria. This is true, but it's much more complicated than that. And again, we've seen them, people are aware that this kind of thing can happen, like, in kind of like morality, when you compromise morality, in a way that is not even, belong to sexual acts at all. Sexual acts at all. Because the neurons are sentient creatures, they are super intelligent. So they can understand, I mean, when morality is like breached, something that's important to them, and then they create certain bacteria. But I cannot generalize all I cannot generalize, I mean, maybe you can generalize the phenomenon. Like, you can say, yes, it might seem like completely unrelated, like, breach of IP, intellectual property, or kind of like, immoral sexual behavior. And there's the question of what is immoral sexual behavior. maybe you can generalize it in a way, but it's not. I cannot do it, and it's definitely not part of it's not in the scope of this video to even try to do such a thing. But yes, these phenomena are strongly related because the neurons, they create the bacteria when they, in like a compromised situation, not other things, but they can also create other things, but they don't. They create the bacteria. There is something essential about it that is, like that is linked to the neurons. And at some point, I understood that these are two collective life forms, or entities, and that the collective of the TREM bacteria is possible because the TREM bacteria contains the neurons in its body. Like the neurons, they use it as a vehicle. Like it's part of the TREM bacteria. Very small neurons are part of the TREM bacteria, integral part. But this can now other life forms in Venus also contain the T. We've seen it under the microscope, like Venusian life forms that contains the TREM bacteria in the body. This is something that was proven in this channel. And maybe even all life forms, I don't know. I just don't know. But there is something special about the TREM bacteria is that, it's not just contain the T, the neurons, but it's in a way, it is the neurons. It is the neurons. In a way that, they completely control the TREM bacteria. So what you actually have when there is like a war between the two collectives, and this is the usual case, but not the only case, is like a war between two collectives. Two collectives that are fighting each other. Okay, so this video, I prefer it not to be too long, so I'll stop here, and very soon I'll upload it to YouTube, and then we'll continue with another video on the same topic of the TREM bacteria, and we'll discuss the behavior of the TREM bacteria, the characteristics of the biological characteristics of the TREM bacteria, how it affected life in Venus, the relation between this, the bacteria, how it's related to nutrition, and also, and we will speak, we'll dedicate several words to kind of like try to elucidate, the very, hot topic since 100 years ago, but still today, of body mutilation that is related to the TREM bacteria. I just say right now, it's kind of like a teaser for the next video, even though we started, hopefully we'll start just in a couple of minutes when it's uploaded, that historically there was a huge misconception, and even like more than misconception, like a huge mistake that is like sinister and incredibly damaging, and like a sin towards the Titans, and especially the Titan females. Historically, it's kind of like, there's like more than 100 years that, and still today, people many times, just, humans, they again, when I say humans, Homo sapiens, humans. It's not like, I do not use the intelligence services, like, הפוך על הפוך, like הפוך כל הזמן, לא הפוך, ישר. So humans are humans. So humans, they blame, male humans, they blame the Titans. Let's put it like on the table. They blame them many times, they wrongfully blame them for the act of cutting their own dicks, their own penises. And in many cases, it was not their fault at all. It was just not their fault at all. Even though, not in 100% of the cases. Okay? Not 100% of the cases. But we'll speak about it in the next video. But this is something that, should be said right now. For people that, just listen to this one and not the next one, that the Titan females, many times, historically, they were wrongfully accused for something that was not their fault. They did not want to cut, the penises of, all sorts of people. But and these people, I mean, they cut their own penises and they blame the Titans, like, presumably that that it was their fault. Now this thing it's possible because yes, the Titan film, the Titan, because of the T, the Titans can to some extent affect actions and thoughts of humans and also of each other. So it's possible, theoretically this is possible, and also it also should be said that there is kind of like a thing in Venus, like, it's a thing in Venus, like, it probably was also something in Earth. Like, I mean, almost certainly הברית מילה זה איזושהי סובלימציה של איזה משהו כזה גם שהיה פה, בכדור הארץ. Almost certainly, but I don't know, and probably nobody can tell, because it's something belong to the ancient, times of humanity. But almost certainly the Brit, the Jewish Brit, like, it's like, a sublimation or, like a kind of like a replacement for an ancient cruel practice of cutting the dicks of males. And these things also exist in Venus. This is correct. And the Venusian, the Titan females are part of it. This is correct. But it's not true at all that, that this is what happened in Earth. No, it's not what happens in Earth. Mostly. Okay? Mostly, this thing is happening because of the trend bacteria, not because of the Titan females. And yes, these men were, infected, by the Titan females with trend bacteria, but it wasn't necessarily their fault. Not necessarily their fault. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But many times it isn't, because people use them for the tea. They take their bodily fluids for them. So, it wasn't necessarily their fault. Many times it wasn't their fault. מה שמה זה מדריכה בכפר הירוק שהבוסים שלה הכריחו אותה לתת את הקקי שלה או את הפיפי שלה לכל מיני צעירים שהגיעו לפה מאיטליה או מסקנדינביה, אני לא יודע, או מישראל. It's not there, they took the body fluids from them, and yes, they many times they almost always they're infected with bacteria. So these these boys, these useful, young adults from many places, they were infected by the trend bacteria. And this was many times this was actually the actual reason for why they self-mutilated themselves. But let's speak about it in another video because I don't want it to be too long.